So that looks really hard, right? XR is way harder than that. So I'm Chris Pickett. I'm the CEO of DigiLens. Thank you for introducing me. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to talk a little bit about the market. I want to talk a little bit about the collection of technologies that come into really AR and MR to make it happen, and then sprinkle in our perspective at DigiLens on the markets, on our technologies and what we do. Essentially what we do is make a thin, transparent, holographic display for augmented reality. So it captures the light into this thin member, it manipulates the light, and it puts it in front of your eye in a holographic eye box so that you can see it at distance. And we can do that in small displays, and we can do that in big displays. But first, I'd like to start with a little bit about the market. I like this chart from DigiCapital because it really kind of sets the table. It's the fourth platform, right? You start with PC, made everybody more productive many decades ago. Then came the internet on top of that PC platform and gave everybody way more data to be more productive. And then came mobile and gave everybody more data anywhere they were in the world to make them more productive. And now you've got XR, which essentially is a way of visualizing that data differently so that I can see my world differently than you can see your world. I can lay out my information anywhere I am in the world differently than you can lay out your information, which is an intensely personal thing. It also is, and I put the word risk on the DigiCapital slide. The risk here is it's a platform war. If any of you are talking to big tech, they're tired of the duopoly of Apple and Google. They don't want to give 30% of their revenue to Apple and Google anymore. They don't want to give the data to Apple and Google anymore. They want to control that data. They want all of that platform for themselves. And anytime you have that type of situation, you got a standards war. So keep in mind as we go forward, it's going to unfold a little bit slower than everybody thinks it will, because you got a standards war on your hands. So this is where I think the XR market is now, right? We're not really even teenagers. We're whacking each other with pillows. We're figuring it out. We're figuring out the experience set. But we're not all that far along. To put numbers to it, this year, AR, VR will ship about 9 million units, which sounds like a lot. And it's a good start. But the last platform is shipping this year 1.4 billion units. And yes, it's tailing off, right? In fact, if you look at the CAGR, let me go here. If you look at the CAGRs, obviously we're starting from a small base, but XR has a CAGR between 19 and 22 of about 92% category growth. It's pretty good, right? Versus the last platform, like I said, it's tailed off. It's not going anywhere. In fact, it's probably going down, right? 1.7%. Let me go back to this for a second. This is how we cut the world at DigiLens. To give you a sense, these are the markets that we're actually operating in today with major partners. Automotive, aviation, helmet-borne displays, smart glasses, and premium virtual reality. This is how we think it will open up over time. And if you look at it, it's hyperbolic growth, right? Out in 2025, I mean, we may be right, we may be wrong on this estimation. It's still less than 300 million units. But it's opening, we think it's opening up really well. I put this slide in here not just because it's a big picture of me, but because it's really about industrial design and decisions on XR. Are you going to include everything, the batteries, the displays, the processors, the memory, the sensors in an all-in-one solution like HoloLens, which is a great solution, right? But it's a lot to put on your head and wear for long periods of time. Are you going to do a magic leap, right? Which takes some of that, puts it in a puck on your hip, does all the processing, the modem stuff on your hip. We actually think the solution lies in simple glasses, lightweight glasses, that plug in through USB-C into the computer that you have with you all the time, right? It's a giant battery, it's a powerful processor, it's got all the memory in the world, it's got a big modem on it, fast modem on it, right? So we think that's likely how this thing unfolds to begin with until things get going. So I want to visualize for a second, and stay with me because it is a visualization. I know everybody, there'll be some people in the crowd go, okay, maybe this will happen this way. But when we get all of the components together and we understand the world around us, we have the 3D virtual map of the world around us called the AR Cloud, we will be able to take a scene like this, which is Times Square, which is really an assault on the senses, right? There's all kinds of advertisements. I don't care about any of them. We'll be able to delete, right? It's not just about adding to the world, it's about deleting from the world too. Seeing what you want to see and having it different than the people around you. I want to know where I'm going. I want to know how long it's going to take me to get there, how far away it is. Maybe I want my schedule in the context of the world and not obscuring the world, right? And if you've got an accurate map of where everything is, it's not that hard to locate those things where you might want to locate them. In any event, I think this is, long-term, why this is the new platform. Because it's an intensely personal use of data, of visualization. So the first step of it is daylight, bright, transparent displays. And I say the first step because that's our part, right? So you got to be able to go anywhere to see the data. You can't constrain people to live in a room like this. You know, HoloLens, as great as that HoloLens 2 is, they rate it at a maximum brightness of 500 nits to the eye. 500 nits to the eye, you go outside on even a dimly lit day, you will see nothing. Not a damn thing. These things are rated at 5,000 nits to the eye using waveguide technology as well. So with 5,000 nits to the eye, you can see stuff, right? You might not be able to occlude everything in the real world that I showed you just a second ago, but you're on your way. So the first step of XR is daylight bright displays. The second step is an immersive field of view, right? State of the art right now, Magic Leap, Microsoft, about 50 degrees or 52 degrees, depending on who which one you're talking about, which is actually pretty good, right? But the problem is you've got your digital information here, and when you turn your head, it disappears. So it's like it's not there, right? We actually think, and the direction that we're going in long term, is to go to a binocular of somewhere between 80 and 100 degrees. We think we'll be able to get to 70 degrees field of view per eye sometime early next year. When you're talking about that type of field of view, you're talking about immersivity. And then you've got sensors. I won't spend too much time on this or go into too much depth, but you've got to understand what's around you, right? You got to understand the contours of the things around you. You got depth sensors, head tracking sensors, eye tracking sensors, so that you don't have to compute all of the high resolution pixels everywhere on the display. You can just compute them where the eye is looking, things like that. One of the biggest thing actually is battery. Where the hell do you stick the battery, right? And if you're going to stick it on your head, good luck. Because I'll tell you, try to get your wife or your husband or your kids to wear a HoloLens for an hour, right? It's really hard because they're really heavy. Lightweight batteries, this is one of the reasons we think the first thing, you tether. Keep the battery off your head. Keep the other components off your head as well. And then as batteries get better, eventually it goes full wireless. 5G is really about where you're going to compute all the data. It's really about big computing in the cloud, and then very quickly, with low latency, getting that data down to the headset. And then maybe even virtual 3D representations of the world around you down to the headset as well while you're walking around. And then style. This guy he's a good-looking guy, right? The Magic Leap is kind of cool in a steampunk way, but there aren't a lot of people around the world that are going to wear this in their daily lives. There just aren't, right? And it needs to get to the point where you've got guys like Luxottica, the eyewear guys, that are coming in that are actually bringing it down to eyewear that you'd wear all day long. Consumer pricing, it's got to get down to the whole thing at a consumer price point. It's got to get down to $500, $600, $700 tops. Otherwise, it's not going to be a consumer priced thing. And then compelling applications. And I actually probably should have started with this slide because we think the right way of going about it is starting with the experience and working your way back to the tech. And that's how we pick our partners, actually. If you look at some of our the funders recently of the company, we've got Continental, the world's largest automotive heads-up display. They know what their experience is. It's an automotive heads-up display. You can take that experience, you can bring it back to the tech. One of our other funders is Niantic, Pokemon Go, Harry Potter, right? They know what their experience is, and you can bring it back to the tech so that you know what you need to deliver. Ultimately, to make this work, you need the full ecosystem. In any major platform that is successful, you have an ecosystem that works. Take, for instance, cars. It's not enough to have a car that has wheels, a chassis, a motor, an interior. Nobody will buy the car. You need a network of roads, of highways, of gas stations, of convenience stores so you can stop and go to the bathroom. You need the ecosystem to come together. And that's how we look at it at DigiLens. And that's how we try to partner up. So how do we survive until that ecosystem and that market can come together? There's some very good names on this list. The list could go on and on, actually. I just selected a couple. These companies had good products, right? They had good funders. Ultimately, they just couldn't last long enough for the market to evolve. Our take on that, my take on that as the CEO of the company is you raise a lot of money so that you've got the staying power. You raise a lot of money with strategic sources, companies, so that they are vested in your technology for their products. So we just got a big round done, a $50 million round, a bunch of, to build our ecosystem, a bunch of great names. As I said, Continental, make a very large waveguide for them, about 0.5 meter by 320 millimeters. They're the #1 heads-up display maker in the world for automotive. Niantic, they are the #1 AR gaming company in the world. Universal Display, they are the #1 OLED materials company in the world. Mitsubishi Chemical, they are the #1 plastic company in the world for glasses. And if you want to go plastic, you got to have a partner, right? Samsung, obviously, one of the best partners for displays, right? Sony, good in so many ways. Console gaming is one of them. Panasonic and Foxconn are obviously big as well. This is what I mean by ecosystem. This is what I mean by this is how we look at the world. You got to have staying power. You got to have people that are vested in your success. Your success is their success for their products to survive. And then we diversify as well along market lines and product lines, using similar technologies for different markets. So you have the smart glasses market, which is starting to expand. There's an urgency in that market that we haven't seen before this year. The helmet market is really a subset of that. It's really just a monocular version of that from a helmet perspective. You've got the automotive market for heads-up displays, the holographic display market that we can use our technology in as well, the aerospace market that we're already shipping in with our partner Collins Aerospace, and the military market that we're partnered with Collins Aerospace as well. So lots of partners, lots of markets, but a unifying technology and a unifying process so that we're not going out of our minds with a bunch of different projects that are completely separate. Ultimately, the way we look at our business is this is a gold rush, right? There'll be a few winners. In a gold rush, the winners will be the platform, the guys that own the new platform, right? There'll be a lot of losers. But the guys that always win in a gold rush scenario are the guys that sell the picks and the shovels. And that's our business model. Our business model is to license our technology for volume manufacturing of these waveguide displays to others. And we have several iterations of that producing parts today. We have a licensee, Young Optic, in Taiwan, producing parts for the market today. We have a licensee, Collins Aerospace, in San Diego, producing parts for the military market. We have a licensee in Germany, Continental, that we're building up their line right now. So this is basically how our technology works. You've got 2 or 3 different waveguides, depending on the design. Each waveguide typically handles a different wavelength of the light. The light comes in from a projector. It comes through the projector. It expands in 2 axes, comes out in the auto HUD type of iteration. It reflects off of the windshield into a holographic eye box in front of the eyes of the driver, which makes the information look projected out in infinity so that you can attach that information to the road and the surroundings around you. So we do this for Continental. If they tried to do this using their conventional HUD technology, it would take roughly 10 times the volumetric space to get the same field of view. We're doing, I'll come back to that. Oh, no, I can't get it to, all right. We're giving them about 3 lanes of data visualization for that HUD, which is tremendous, right? If you tried to do that, you'd need about 25 to 30 liters of volume under the dash. It just doesn't fit, right? So for this and for our business, I'll try to get to the next slide. We start with a holographic photopolymer. We don't etch like some waveguides. We use a photopolymer. Our photopolymer is the best on the market by far. It has the lowest haze. It has the highest refractive index of modulation, delta N, by 5 to 6 times of anything else on the market, which allows us to get a very thin layer, 1 to 2 microns on the surface of glass, and still get fields of view that are wide. So we start with our photopolymer, and we're essentially a materials company. We take this, we design our waveguides using our optical suite, which is the ray tracing tool, the DLLs that plug into Zemax to trace all of the light paths, the grading modeling software tool that will give us a sense of the efficiencies of the holograms that we're creating, and the system modeling tool, which gives us a sense of the system of the waveguide and how that will turn out. We use this to design. We license this to our licensees so they can design too. Our model is to teach our licensees to fish, not to fish for them. And then we combine that with a very low-cost manufacturing process. So you take the glass in, use a standard off-the-shelf ultrasonic cleaner, you plasma etch the glass to activate the surface. You take our photopolymer and you inkjet print using an off-the-shelf inkjet printer onto the surface of glass, and then you seal that with another piece of glass. So at that point, you've got a sandwich of glass, our material glass. Our material is about 1 to 2 microns in the center. So it's like inkjet printing on a layer of paint, right? You can think of that cell that you've created at that point as an unexposed photograph, because it's a photopolymer that's going to react to light and create the hologram, right? You take that cell down to the copying stage, put a semiconductor grade mask in front of the cell, and scan a laser across it. And what that does is it imprints a diffractive pattern into our photopolymer. The photopolymer literally, well, I'll go back so you can see it. There we go. Photopolymer literally phase separates into the gratings and clear polymer. The gratings create the hologram, which manipulates the light. And then you assemble several waveguides for a full color waveguide. We can also optimize the light, the luminosity, and the color mix of the waveguide after the fact by printing different modulus of materials in different places. And with a different modulus, it'll push the light one way or another way. And this is actually a tremendously strong tool, because you always get your waveguides and you look at them and I want a little bit more light in this corner or that corner. I want my color mix to be a little bit different. We can do that through software. We basically figure out where we want to move the light, put the different modulus of material down when we're inkjet printing. So we're basically just uploading a software file to the inkjet printer. We can then take that, we can send it to Taiwan, they can upload it to their inkjet printer and be running that file, that design that day. Oh, so let me say one other thing before I get here. That's the last slide. And I don't know if the sound will turn on. I love that segment from the graduate, though. One of our partners is Mitsubishi Chemical. We're moving from glass substrates to plastic substrates. I think we're one of the only waveguide manufacturers that can actually go to plastic. Plastic is a big deal, because plastic ultimately is lighter. If you're going to ask people to put things on their face, it's got to be as light as possible. It's ultimately less expensive in volume, and ultimately it's safer. If you hit it, it doesn't smash like glass. So, the sound doesn't come through. Anyway, he's making a big deal out of plastic.
Plastics. Exactly how you moved. There's a great future in plastics. Think about it. Will you think about it? Yes, I will. Enough said. That's a deal.
All right, so plastics is a big deal. So, with our partner with Mitsubishi Chemical, we went in, we took a look at their library of plastics. Together, we selected a few candidates. We're now showing our first plastic waveguide in the hall over here. Go see it. It's a first iteration. It's actually pretty good. We're going to be iterating on that plastic over time with Mitsubishi so that we can deliver on the promise of plastic waveguide.